رسوله الكريم أما بعد. We mentioned the instruction that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to Musa and Harun alayhim salam when they were going to Fir'aun. قُولَا لَهُ قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا لَعَلَّهُ يَتَذَكَّرُ أَوْ يَخْشَى. Speak gently to him. Perhaps he will have some fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Perhaps he will understand what he needs to understand. This tells us something. That when we are trying to make someone understand something very important, then the best way to do it is to speak gently to them, adopt a gentle tone. The second thing is, when someone is rough and rude, a tyrant like Fir'aun, someone who has no respect for any authority or considers themselves to be the highest authority like he did, he used to say, أَنَا رَبُّكُمُ الْأَعْلَى, I am your highest Lord. When you approach someone like that, then to try to intimidate them, to try to talk down to them, it doesn't help. So speaking gently is the method that we as Muslims should always use, at least in the beginning, whenever we are trying to get our point across. Sometimes we are so emotional about the point, we're so caught up in that moment that everything comes out in one big outburst. On the other side, something to understand is that if someone is speaking to us gently, if someone is speaking nicely to us, it doesn't mean they're weak. It doesn't mean that they're scared of us or intimidated by us. It doesn't mean any of that. It simply means that this person is using a very good type of akhlaq, a very good mode of communication, and they're trying to reach through to us. Sometimes youngsters need to be jolted a little bit. They don't get the message until they're jolted. They don't think the other person is serious unless it comes across in a very serious, a very harsh way. Yes, that may be the case, but we should become accustomed to being reminded with gentle reminders and letting that be enough for us. Because if a person is not accepting, if we, for example, are not prepared to accept someone's gentle reminder, it means we are forcing them to ruin their akhlaq in order to get through to us. Someone mentioned this to Harun Rashid, that these people don't listen like this, you're being very kind, you're being very fair, but they're not getting the message, you need to change their tone. So he said something very interesting. He said, أَنُفْسِدُ أَخْلَاقَنَا لِتَحْسُنَ أَخْلَاقُهُم. Should I spoil my akhlaq so that they can correct their akhlaq? Should I ruin my habit? I have a good habit of speaking in a good way. Should I throw that away so that someone else, with the hope, the expectation that someone else can improve? This matters to us from two perspectives. One, as someone who is trying to get through to someone, trying to explain something to someone, we should adopt a gentle, a fair manner and a fair tone, a gentle tone. The other side, if someone is speaking to us, how are we responding, and what kind of position are we putting that person in? As students, it makes all the difference. Sometimes we are pushing our teachers or our elders to become strict with us, to become stern with us. They don't want to be. Nobody wants to be that way. But we keep acting in such a way that we're basically telling them that we're not going to listen until you get tougher. So we're telling them that you're going to have to spoil your akhlaq a little bit to get through to us. Because that's the kind of material we're made out of. We don't take gentle messages. So what kind of message is that we're conveying? In fact, our teachers used to say that a student, a real student, somebody who is serious, doesn't need words of reminder. When the teacher looks at them in a certain way, they get the message. And a true student actually feels embarrassed or humiliated that, why did I have to be reminded? I am so silly, I am so foolish that I knew what was expected of me, but am I that silly? Am I that careless, that negligent, that someone actually has to tell me? It's like, how do you feel when someone tells you, hey, tie your shoes? It's embarrassing. So, oh, I didn't know. Yes, if you didn't notice your shoes were untied, it's something else. But if you're walking around deliberately with your shoes untied, it means you have no shame. You have no haya. And the hadith says, إِذَا لَمْ تَسْتَحْيِ فَاصْنَعْ مَا شِئْتَ. If you lose this sense of haya, that what impression will people have of me? What will people think of me? When you lose this, you are capable of doing anything. You are capable of falling to the lowest and the deepest holes and abysses that human beings have ever fallen into. Because that thing that stops you isn't there. So a sign of a student who is going somewhere is that they don't want to be reminded. They don't want to be in that position where someone has to tell them. They're self-regulating all the time. And if someone did have to remind them, it would just be maybe with a look. Maybe with a very gentle reminder. And that's it. So the message here is we need to get ourselves used to doing two things. One is giving gentle reminders. When we speak in a gentle, we do not speak in a rough, abrasive, offensive, aggressive tone. It's not a sign of masculinity, it's not a sign of toughness, it's not a sign of anything. In fact, it's a sign of extreme weakness that you do not have the ability to convey your message in a straightforward way. You have to use all of these tactics, these intimidation tactics. It's a sign of extreme weakness. The second thing we need to get used to is get used to regulating ourselves even with the gentlest of reminders. Even with the simplest reminder, even that one look from the teacher, we already know what the teacher expects from us. But when we say, no, I know you're watching me, I know you can see what I'm doing, but I'm not gonna stop it until you tell me. You've actually lowered yourself a few notches. You have lowered your own self-esteem, you've lowered your own self-image, you've lowered your own respect. You've taken that away from yourself. So it goes both ways. We speak gently, and when someone speaks to us gently, we respond, and we don't force them to go to the next level of loudness, of toughness, of sternness, or whatever the case may be. And this is a part of the teachings of the Quran. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to implement these teachings. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala